So now I'm going to do a quick example going through looping and control statements. Now I'll do a for loop and a while loop, but I won't do a do while loop because, I mean, if you understand a while loop, you can implement a do while loop. You just got to remember that the code block, like the body of the loop, will get run at least once. That's the only difference. They're also used so rarely that I don't think it really is super of high importance to explain them. But now let's have a look at a basic for loop. So a for loop, three things really have to define in a for loop is the initialization expression, meaning do we set some sort of accounting variable to 0, 1, what have you. I mean, you don't have to do it, but you have an initialization expression that is run before the loop is executed. Then you have some sort of an evaluation expression, which is your condition, like do I stop looping now? And then you have your incrementation, and so like increment, and this happens after the loop's body's code is executed. And so the most common structure that you'll see is a for loop where you'll have some sort of int I, int whatever, some sort of temporary variable. And so this variable I exists inside this for loop, because if we talk about scope of a variable, this scope of I is the for loop, so I only exists inside this for loop. So we'll set I equals 0. I mean, you could do it to like 1, let's do it to 1. And then generally you'll have some sort of less than, equal to condition for a standard sort of counting. I want to do a loop 10 times, sort of an iteration. So here we'll go like less than or equal to 4. Now these initialization, sort of evaluation and increment, these expressions can really be anything. They don't have to be just setting some temporary variable to some number, I to something. I mean, they can be very complex, but this is the most common form, and in most basic applications is what you'll use. And we'll just do a standard increment, meaning that every loop will just, so this will run when I is equal to 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll get 4 loops, and what we can do to just show this is we'll just do a quick printf, and we'll just print I's value like this. So that should print me I. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the example that we had before of continue and break, we can do, for instance, let's say we'll do this up until 200. So this would loop 200 times. So if I run this, this will just, there we go. We have like all 200 loops of it. Now let's say I don't want this, and we'll do it manually. Let's say we only want to print the odd numbers. This is a good one. So we'll go, hey, if I mod 2, so this means that this will evaluate to 0 if it's an even number. So we'll say if not I equals to 2, continue. And so this is saying if this expression, so I equals to 2, so for every even number, this will evaluate to true, and it will skip the print. So if we move the print underneath it, we should only get the odd numbers, as you can see here. So there we go. That's a good use of continue, for instance. Similarly, what we could do is just go I think, can we go I plus equals 2? So there we go. That's the same functionality because we're now incrementing just by 2, right? But we'll keep the continue in there because it's a good use. But let's say we only want to go up to like 90. I mean, obviously we could just change this here to be less than or equal to 90, but we'll just put in a break statement. So we'll say if I is 90, then break. And so this is just going to leave the loop. So we can make this, and we can run this. Why is it not? Oh, because it's never going to hit it, because it's only doing odd. Let's go 91. And so we'll run this now, and now it stops, right? And so this is a use of break. It's leaving this loop. But let's say I had a loop inside of a loop, which you can do. You can put as many loops as you want. So we'll just do like for int j equals 0, j less than like 2. And so what this would do, we'll put some squigglies to keep it nice and neat. So what this will now do is it's going to run this inner loop twice. So we're going to go 1 to 91 twice. So we can see here, first time up to here, and then second time. Now, break, for instance, will only leave you the inner loop. And you can see this because we're breaking and we're getting the second execution, meaning that this second loop is getting executed. We're breaking this outside of the inner loop, but the outer loop is not getting broken yet, right? So that's an important thing to know. If we wanted to break both loops, then you'd have to like do some more stuff here and put like a break or something. So if you ran break here again, this is sort of pointless, but now we'll get only one execution, right? So I'll get rid of that. So that's the for loop. Now, the while loop is essentially less complex, and we can also do a for loop using a while loop, which is actually a good way of demonstrating it. So we could do a while loop or for loop using manual sort of variable stuff. Like we just set I equal to 0, and we'll do while I is less than 10. Print I equal to decimal. And so here we can then just go I plus plus. So we have the exact same thing. This is initialization, it was run before the loop. This is the condition that's checked. And then we just have our incrementation that we're doing manually. So if you run this, it will output the first 91. Print, I'm not, forgot the I. So we'll see here that we've essentially implemented a for loop manually using a while loop. So that's one use of it. A very common use of the while loop would be, for instance, something like this, while 1, and then we can just go and we'll print, got my squigglies, print, I'll just take him from here, this will be easier. So here, and then we can just go if I equals 9, break. Oops. Oh, because I haven't reset it. Okay. So I'll reset our I value. And there we go. We can see that we've run in a second one again. We needed to, if we wanted to print I equals 9, make this equal to 10. So we wanted to have the same thing printing. So there we go. We can see we literally have the exact same thing implemented 3 sort of different ways using while loops and for loops, and the conditional, the control statements also being used very well. So I hope this helps.